Greetings to all of our fellow delegations present here in the United Nations Security Council. On behalf of the people and government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we would like to send condolences to the families, friends, and comrades in arms of those 56 sailors of the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force who lost their lives in the Sea of Japan due to the rocket attack originating from the territory of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. May they rest in peace and their service to their great nation be forever remembered. On behalf of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and its President, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, this delegation for which I am making this statement expresses deep concerns over an escalation to the violence seen in East Asia carried out by forces originating from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. We are fearful that the rocket attack on Japanese vessels and the attempted attack on the American territory of Guam are just a prelude to what could possibly be a massive conflagration with many global repercussions. In the case of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the greatest repercussion that these events have upon our nation are any possible negative impacts on our trade relations with countries in East Asia, specifically those of the People's Republic of China, with which the Federal Republic of Nigeria has bilateral agreements on the production and supply of petroleum to said republic. We are calling on all parties in the conflict to help to halt any and all military maneuvers on the Korean Peninsula and its surrounding waters and airspace. Given the facts of the rocket attack on Japanese naval vessels, the call for a halt to all military maneuvers is warranted so that any possible miscalculations by any of the parties involved can be prevented in the utmost extent possible. The United Nations Security Council should call for an immediate investigation into the facts surrounding the attack. This investigation is to be done by proposing a Security Council resolution calling for the presence of the foreign ministers and or designated representatives to the Security Council of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and of Japan to answer any and all questions surrounding the incident made to them by the full Security Council. The objective of this investigation is to determine the following. 1. What was the mission of the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force Patrol doing within the exclusive economic zone of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea? Was its presence in said zone of a defensive or transitory nature, or was it positioning itself for offensive operations against the Democratic People's Republic of Korea? Such offensive operations would be, as a matter of fact, anathema to and a violation of Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution, which states that, quote, the Japanese people forever renounce war as a sovereign right of the nation and the threat or use of force as a means of settling international disputes. However, if the Democratic People's Republic of Korea attacked Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force Patrol, it would not be a violation of Article 9. It was omitted from the statement. Number 2, what proof of, quote, spying does the Democratic Republic of Korea have against Japan that would have warranted its argument of, quote, preemptive self-defense? If the United States presented evidence of the presence and production of weapons of mass destruction by the former regime of Saddam Hussein, then in power in the Republic of Iraq, in order to justify its invasion of the latter state in 2003, under the pretense of, quote, preemptive self-defense, then it is to be expected that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea follow the aforesaid method of demonstrating its case to the Security Council. We expect the foreign ministers and or designated representatives of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and of Japan to provide answers based on evidence provided by them to the full Security Council. The Federal Republic of Nigeria proposes that from the testimony given and evidence presented by the representatives of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and Japan, the full Security Council shall agree by prospective resolution to forward the findings to the International Court of Justice in The Hague, for it is the only institution, in the opinion of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that can duly provide a ruling sufficient to address the need for justice to be reached in this case, given its severity. Excuse me. The Federal Republic of Nigeria would also like to publicly express to the delegation of the People's Republic of China to not accept any invocation of the Sino-North Korean Mutual Aid and Cooperation Friendship Treaty of July 11, 1961 by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in this case, on the grounds that the facts, as of the writing of this statement, are not in accordance with Article 2 of said treaty, which provides for both the People's Republic of China and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea to oppose any attack on either of the two signatories' countries by any nation or any coalition of nations. Simply stated, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea attacked and sank vessels belonging to Japan, not the other way around. The missile attack on the naval vessels of the United States of America by vessels purportedly belonging to the Democratic Republic of Korea is crass and irresponsible, especially given the discovery of the presence of sarin nerve agent in the warheads carried by said missiles. If it is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that the attack on the American vessels were in fact carried out by the government of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, then the Federal Republic of Nigeria will have no choice but to unilaterally declare its embassy in Pyongyang closed, to recall the ambassador of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea back to Abuja for further instructions from the Minister of Foreign Relations, and to unilaterally unilaterally break all relations and cancel any commercial agreements with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The Federal Republic of Nigeria believes that any state that carries out acts of such a reckless and criminal nature, such as the unprovoked act of firing missiles loaded with sarin towards any kind of watercraft originating from any state, let alone naval vessels from the United States, is an act that merits a response of the swiftest, most deliberate, and most definitive kind from the international community. Given that the missiles fired by these vessels did not hit their intended targets and fell into the waters near the American territory of Guam, the Federal Republic of Nigeria will support any declarations or formal statements made by the United States of America calling this act an attack against the United States of America itself. As a signatory to the Chemical Weapons Convention, the Federal Republic of Nigeria does not condone neither the production, possession, and or use of chemical weapons. The Federal Republic of Nigeria is calling for the Organization for the Protection of Chemical Weapons to immediately carry out an inquiry into this incident to determine what actor is truly responsible for this reprehensible use of chemical weapons. The results of this inquiry are to be used to guide the United Nations Security Council in formulating a prompt and justifiable response in accordance with international law and customs governing foreign relations. Because of this use of chemical weapons, the Federal Republic of Nigeria is extremely concerned about the state of the area of the Pacific Ocean near Guam. Sarin has been shown to mix easily with water, and it can contaminate food as well. These facts only contribute to the seriousness of the offense. For the Federal Republic of Nigeria fears that indirect exposure to sarin by coming into contact with contaminated water or consuming fish or seafood harvested from the contaminated area presents a multiplication of the base of potential victims of this crisis. For contaminated water can be carried to regions further afield by currents, and fish and seafood from the contaminated area can end up anywhere in the world's food supply, thanks to the globalization of the seafood industry. Due to these grave concerns for serious environmental damage to be done and the potentially global impacts of this exposure, the Federal Republic of Nigeria is calling for any state or states responsible for this attack to be sued by by the United Nations on behalf of the international community in the International Court of Justice in The Hague, but only after the Organization for the Prevention of Chemical Weapons determines what actor is responsible for the act, as stated before. If it is proven, excuse me, if it is proven that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea was responsible for this missile attack against naval vessels of the United States of America and near Guam, it will have then exposed itself to the so-called Gulf War Doctrine of 1991, which basically declares that the use of any kind of weapons of mass destruction against the United States of America or its interests abroad will be met with equal response. Given that the only weapons of mass destruction the United States has are nuclear weapons, the responsive massive proportions of the population of the Republic of Korea, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and Japan has been to seek safe shelter from a potential conflict including weapons of mass destruction by fleeing from the cities in the region, Seoul and Tokyo being of an especially grave note. Due to the situation in the region, the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has called on all its citizens present in the region, with the exception of essential diplomatic personnel, to immediately leave the territory of Japan, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and the Republic of Korea. The essential diplomatic personnel are to stay in their assigned posts and to directly inform the Minister of Foreign Relations of the situation on the ground on a daily basis. The Federal Republic of Nigeria, in the interest of seeking a peaceful de-escalation of the crisis, is calling for an immediate meeting between the between the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Japan, and the Republic of Korea to take place at the Inter-Korean Peace Palace on the demilitarized zone immediately. The focus of this meeting should be to establish speedy methods to respond in the needs of the internally displaced persons and to establish channels of diplomatic communication between the three states and the United Nations in order to seek a peaceful resolution to the crisis. For that would be an infinitely more preferred outcome given the alternative. However, if armed conflict is to ensue, the meeting of the Inter-Korean Peace Palace should at least produce a memorandum of understanding between the conflicting states to keep any and all military actions within the bounds established by the Geneva and Hague Conventions, to respect Article 31 of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations of 1963 with regard to the physical security of any diplomatic and consular facilities belonging to the Federal Republic of Nigeria found in the Republic of Korea, the People's Democratic Republic of Korea, and Japan, and for the states involved in any potential armed conflict in the region to duly respect and abide by the conditions set forth on the convention set forth by the convention relating to the status of refugees of 1951. The Federal Republic of Nigeria calls for any violations of the aforementioned conventions to be promptly investigated by the United Nations and for any criminal charges to be presented to the International Criminal Court, or, in the case of the United States of America, to have charges heard before a General Court-Martial of its armed forces. The proposals presented here by the Federal Republic of Nigeria seek to prevent any future bellicose conflict that could result in the unnecessary deaths of hundreds of thousands, if not millions. The Federal Republic of Nigeria has been witness to and a victim of brutal, shocking, and irresponsible violence and death within its borders and in Africa in general, most notably the Biafran conflict from 1967-1970, the peacekeeping missions our military men and women have carried out throughout the African continent and the former Yugoslavia, and more recently combating Boko Haram in our northern regions. Our fighting men and women have carried the flag of the Federal Republic of Nigeria into places that have been deeply scarred by conflict, places that have seen the worst of what human nature is unfortunately capable of. Unfortunately capable of. The people and government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria do not want to bear witness to a conflict much worse than what our military veterans in particular and the Nigerian people in general have witnessed. Indeed, we, the delegation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, by this statement, are publicly and convincingly concerned that if the situation in East Asia does not de-escalate, the international community will see yet another catastrophic world war, a world war in which weapons of mass destruction will be used from the early stages. We are urgently requesting the United Nations Security Council to consider the suggestions for conflict resolution that this delegation has presented, and for the Security Council to hopefully implement some, if not all of them. The delegation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria would like to thank the Security Council for allowing the time to express its views, concerns, and proposals for solutions to the grave crisis in East Asia.